everyone. Welcome to the very first inaugural maiden voyage of Scorpion's Den, a PlayStation Plus podcast. Now, right off the bat, let's just get right into it. I say PlayStation Plus. This is not a podcast about PlayStation Plus. The plus means more. I'm going to be talking a lot about PlayStation. I'm also going to be talking about some other stuff as they come up. I am a gamer first and foremost. PlayStation is my preferred platform. I do have an Xbox One. I don't really play it all that often. That's a whole different story and a whole different podcast. So, basically, I'm starting a weekly podcast. This is going to post every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And the topics will vary from anything from whatever we have for coming out on PlayStation Plus, what's in the store, what's some of the new gaming news that's coming about, just anything and everything that's mostly PlayStation related, and we will get off topic a little bit. So that's kind of a rundown of what the goals are for this. Let's get right into the first topic of the day, which, periodically you want to check in and let's talk about what we've recently played. I have been playing a little bit of Overwatch. For those of you that don't know, on the 24th through, I believe it's February 13th, is a seasonal event for Overwatch, and it's for the Chinese Lunar New Year, and it is Year of the Rooster. And with this, the main new brawl is called Capture the Rooster, which is essentially a capture the flag game mode, which I'm pretty happy about. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. As of recording this, it is Wednesday evening, Wednesday the 25th. I plan on jumping in, playing a little Capture the Rooster after I'm done recording here, so I will maybe be posting some of my impressions on Twitter. So yeah, I've been playing some Overwatch. I've also been kind of dipping into my backlog and playing Guacamelee. That's from Drinkbox Studios. I'm a pretty big fan of what those guys have done. They put out a lot of good quality stuff. Guacamelee, I'd probably say I have, I don't know, six-ish hours in, probably. It's about an 8-hour game to complete, from what I've read from trophy guides and roadmaps and stuff like that. So I would say I'm pretty close to the end at this point. Right now, I am at 17% of all trophies, and that's 13 out of the 36 available, but I believe I am most of the way through the main story mode. That doesn't really count any side quests or anything like that. So, speaking of trophies, let me get into my second topic of the day, which is trophies in general. I'm not really much of a trophy hunter. I enjoy collecting trophies. I'm not very good at video games, if there is such a thing as being good at video games, and that's not really me. I have a lot of fun with them, and I enjoy it. It is, I would say, my favorite hobby. I do spend a lot of time playing games, but I would not really consider myself a trophy hunter. Now, that being said, if you don't already know about psnprofiles.com, it's essentially a website that you sign up your username and password and you link it to your PSN ID, and it will track all of the games that you've played and what trophies you've collected, and kind of, gives you a gauge of how you stack up against other players that are registered to the site, as well as just kind of, it's a nice general, record keeping of your progress throughout games. I use it a lot for just kind of trophy guides, or just kind of doing my own little road mapping of what I'm trying to collect and what I'm trying to accomplish with any given game that I'm playing. It's a pretty useful website, I've got to say. If you guys haven't used it, I do recommend it. It's pretty sweet. It's completely free if you want to have access to updating your profile and your trophy list, faster and more timely basis. I believe it's the free version. You can update your trophy list once an hour, and it will auto-update your list every 24 to 48 hours, I believe it is. And that's as a registered user. They do have, I believe it's a lifetime payment. I want to say it's $11.99, $10.99 maybe, and that unlocks the premium version for life, which I do plan on doing actually. It's a site that I would say I use on a daily basis, and I'd like to be able to support them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's a one-time PayPal payment. They do good work over there. There's a lot of good trophy guides. They have a forum as well. You can sign up to do cooperative play with other PSN players. They have, boosting sessions you can sign up for if you're having trouble getting a trophy in a multiplayer game. Trying to get at those platinums. So it's just an overall good tool, and I do highly recommend it. One of the things that I have been using it for is kind of keeping track of my backlog. So what I've been trying to do is kind of looking through 2016 and kind of my year in review in gaming. I wasn't really too happy with the progress that I made in games. I played a lot of games, more than I had in years past, but what I realized is that I would start up a game and I would play for a couple hours, and then I would move on to the next thing. Never really completed anything. And so that was it was a bit of a letdown when I was going back and looking at my trophies and kind of seeing where my progress was with a lot of these games that I'd played in 2016. Now, I did happen to get 2 platinum trophies in 2016, and those are my only 2. Both came from Telltale Games, and I'm not a huge fan of those, just because from a technical standpoint, I'm not happy with their engine and how it runs, or the lack of running, frankly. But I did happen to collect the platinum trophies for The Wolf Among Us and for Telltale's Batman. The Batman story is really, it's a very high quality story. I definitely recommend it for those of you that are Batman fans and want a little bit different take on some of the characters and some of the lore. That was a fun one to play from a story standpoint. Technically, the game is a 5 out of 10. I mean, I didn't experience any crashing, but I definitely had to play with a headset because I was losing dialogue audio, and I mean, I had my PS4 hooked up through my stereo with nice JBL speakers and a Denon receiver. I was using an optical audio cable, which are actually fairly seldom used, but I've always had really good sound quality through those, and I happen to prefer that. And I wasn't even getting all the dialogue, which really, really made me mad. And, I didn't like having to use a headset for a story game like that, especially when you're in your home and you're in your basement or wherever you play games, and you want to have that nice audio surrounding you and not just in your ears. So that was a bit of a letdown. But as far as my backlog goes, I definitely want to kind of take the time to go back and play some of the games that I might have missed out on in the last couple of years, and that have just been kind of sitting in my library where, I might have started it, got an hour or 2 in, but never really finished anything off, or, didn't play enough of anything that really caught my attention, but got, taken over by the next latest and greatest title that came out. So that's actually where Guacamelee comes into play. That was one of the games that's been in my backlog for almost 2 years now, and I'm, like I said before, I'm happy to be most of the way through that game, and I do plan on finishing the main story and maybe going back and cleaning up a few of the side quest trophies. I don't plan on platinuming it. I don't think I really need to. I don't, like I said, I don't really believe in having to go and platinum games. I can appreciate what people like about that, but I'm just not that dedicated of a trophy hunter, I suppose. So one of the reasons that I am finding the time to get into some of my backlogs as well is because there hasn't really been any games that have come out recently that have really caught my attention in 2017 that I'm really excited to play. So I've had the time to, kind of spend a few hours with Guacamelee and start hammering that out. And I plan on moving on to Severed on Vita. That's another Drinkbox Studios title that was originally developed exclusively to the Vita. I did start it. Again, that's another one where I played for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, I would say, and it's a really cool concept. I did really enjoy it, but, I got sidelined by something else going on, or there was another game that came out maybe on the PS4, and, I don't travel, and I don't, take public transit for my commute to work, and so for me, the Vita is kind of that lounge time handheld that I play at home. I don't play it on the go, and so I find that I don't really play it a lot. So I would like to get back to kind of playing some more Vita as well, and Severed is definitely first on my list. But that being said, the next topic that I wanted to talk about, and the final topic for today, is upcoming games in the first half of 2017, or maybe even 2017 in general, barring they don't get delayed or pushed or anything like that. There are a few games that I am looking forward to. The first and foremost, I would say, being Horizon Zero Dawn, and that comes out at the end of next month. I want to say it's February 28th is the release date for that. It looks cool. I dig the art style. Guerrilla. I'm a fan of Killzone and that series. Killzone 3 on PS3 was, that was a game that I spent a lot of time with, and I had a lot of fun playing. And so I'm pretty excited about that one. It's a cool concept, and I can, I can really get behind kind of what they're trying to send out for their message and their story. The way in the future, not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but just a change in how society has evolved from being so technologically advanced to almost reverting back to a hunter-gatherer type of society. A mixture of, it feels like a mixture of kind of Killzone or like Deus Ex, very, very techy, very technopop kind of, vibe, but yet at the same time maybe it's mixing in a little bit of the, sort of Far Cry Primal, vibe with the machines are, they look like dinosaurs, or they look like other giant animals, and we are not at the top of the food chain anymore. It looks like a cool game. I'm excited about that one. That's probably my most anticipated game coming up here in 2017. The next game, I don't really know how I feel about this one yet, but I'm curious, and that's Mass Effect Andromeda. Just recently got slated for a March release. I believe it's March 21st, and that, I played Mass Effect 1 on Xbox 360. I never finished it, but I got a good chunk of the way through that game, and I had a good time playing it, and I just remember not really being interested in Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this one. I think it's nice that it's sort of it's kind of a reboot of the series, in the sense that if you were never really invested in Mass Effect and the lore and in the characters, this is kind of a fresh start for everybody. So you're going to keep your established Mass Effect fans, but maybe you're going to gain some new ones. At this point, I think I would consider myself to be a new fan of the series, just because I didn't really Okay, welcome back. So this might be a good time to mention that I am making this podcast. Video, audio, everything is completely being done on my PS4 in Share Factory. I just now found out that when you record audio, you can only do it in 15-minute increments, which I was not aware of. So now I know. So there's probably a slight hiccup that you guys just experienced there. No worries. It's apparently audio is going to be in 15-minute chunks. Maybe that'll be how I'll break up my topics. I'll try to keep them to within 15 minutes. Maybe we'll throw a little interlude in between recordings, and we'll kind of play it by ear. I am definitely a novice when it comes to Share Factory. I'm, just kind of getting my feet wet with the program. I'm really happy with how easy to use it is, actually. It's obviously very simple, but I think for my purposes, especially what I'm trying to do with this podcast, it's going to serve its purpose, and it's going to have more than enough features and abilities that I will definitely get a lot out of it, and hopefully you guys do too. So, yeah. Where were we? Mass Effect. Okay. So, yeah, like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about this one. I'm curious to see how it does. This is definitely one where I'll be watching reviews to kind of gauge my enthusiasm, or how interested or invested I really want to get into this. I think Horizon's going to end up taking a lot of my time, especially because I'm a little bit more of a casual gamer as far as how much time I spend each week. I do try to get onto the console, several times a week and put in a little bit of time here and there. But, being married and working a full-time job and all that good stuff, life, what are you going to do? Can't all be games. So, that's going to be one where I'm going to be on the fence, and I'll be keeping a close eye on that one to kind of see how it does. The kind of final, well, I shouldn't say final game. There are two more that I have that are, I'm keeping my eye on, that I'm pretty dead set I'm going to be getting these titles and that I'm excited about. And that kind of gets back to the sort of the PlayStation 1 era, kind of cartoony platformers, just some stuff that's fun to play, and kind of you can pick it up and just have a good time and screw around, and has a neat little story. It's going to be Yooka-Laylee, and that's from I forget the name of the studio off the top of my head, but I know it's a bunch of ex-Rare devs. That these are the guys that they did Banjo-Kazooie, so it's a bit of a nod to that style of game. The banjo and old Mario 64 and that sort of style. That looks pretty exciting. So that's another one of my games that I'm looking out for, and that's got an April release date. I don't remember what day specifically, but I do know it's sometime in April. So looking forward to that one. Last one coming up is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Oh boy. So, you guys don't know this, but one of my very first console games that I ever owned when I was a kid was Crash Bandicoot. And looking back on my history with games, I would say that was the very first game that I completed front to back. I was never a completionist as a kid. I'm not a completionist now, but I do remember, you'd have to write down the codes, the button combination for, getting your save back, because, if you didn't have a memory card, you had to do these codes, and I didn't have a memory card at the time, of course, and I didn't know I needed one. So that was, it's definitely a cherished game and a kind of a piece of gaming history, especially for me personally, was the Crash Bandicoot series. So to hear that, there's going to be a full remaster where it's all the exact same levels, but they're completely, redesigned in a new engine, and it's it's not just a reskin, or let's update controls and graphics a little bit. They gave it a complete overhaul, yet kept the level design exactly how people remember it. I think is a really cool idea, and one of the I would say that's probably one of my most anticipated games, right up there alongside Horizon. So that's going to be a good time. That's kind of my breakdown of what I'm interested in, especially coming up here in the near future. I'd be curious to see what you guys are about. What games interest you, what don't interest you. Definitely leave me a comment here on the video, and let me know. So yeah, if you guys like this podcast, and hopefully you do, I encourage you to like this video. Please hit the subscribe button, and just kind of follow along. I'm going to be posting an episode every Friday. It's going to post at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I live in the Midwest. That is the time zone we're in. So yeah, it should be going up every Friday at 10 a.m. Like I said, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, even go ahead and turn on the notifications. There's that little bell up in the top right, go ahead and hit that. That'll turn on notifications. You'll get notified anytime we post a video. I am planning on posting other videos besides just the podcast on Fridays. Looking into, might be doing some YouTube Let's Plays or live streams. There's some other videos I'd like to do as well. Possibly, unboxings, or, any sort of hauls, or, just kind of any sort of stuff you guys might be interested in. So, let me know in the comments if there's a certain type of video you're into and you'd like to see me do. Let's explore that a little bit. I think that'd be worthwhile, and just kind of trying to fine tune the channel to what people are interested in. So that is going to do it for me. If you guys want to keep up with me on a little bit more personal basis, and maybe not just this show, my social media of choice is Twitter, and you can follow me there. I am at Scorp_wild, exactly how it's spelled, just like it sounds. There is the underscore. That's a kind of a key piece to remember. So yeah. You guys have a good day, good night, good weekend, whatever it may be. I'll see you next time.